And we're alive. Welcome to episode 2 today, where we're gonna have another awesome artist. And so if you're tuning in later, just skip right ahead a few seconds and you'll see what happens because it's gonna be awesome. So welcome back. We're going to make sure we get on our next amazing artist. We're just sending these out. Welcome back. There we go. 1 second here. Here we go. Hey,
Hey,
welcome.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for checking this out. Instagram Live for the first time,
I
right?
know, it's great.
Isn't it wonderful? Thank you so much for.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us your name and what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, my name is Julie Schumer.
Is our internet okay? Is my internet not okay? Is my internet okay? Back. We might have a.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I'm not sure how much of that, what I just said that you heard. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I'm should be there. Can you hear me? Yeah. Anyway, okay. So anyway, I was saying that I do large format abstract paintings. And I'm in my Santa Fe studio, and I've been painting this way for about the last 20 years. Um, and I'm doing it full time now. I finally retired from my previous career. And I'm also leading workshops, painting workshops.
Yeah, and you want to tell us something about these painting workshops. Why don't you tell us something a little bit first, and then you can
I
tell us something
do
later.
actually.
Uh-huh.
I didn't quite hear what you said. I didn't hear the last thing that you said. Oh, okay, okay. Well, basically for the last 6 years or so, right. I was going to start doing that. I used to do them live here in the studio and in other places, but now we're going to be going to the online format starting tomorrow, actually. My first one will be starting for enrollment tomorrow, and it will go live on June 29th. It's basically not a live class. It's a series of pre-recorded videos on various subject matters, fundamentals of abstract painting, and it's meant to be taken over like a 6-week period. People have access to it for a long time so that they can work at their own pace. And there's going to be some live Zoom calls interspersed in that so people can get help if they need it. And it's going to be a big experiment. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping well. And I'm not sure if you're there. Are you there? Yeah. So we'll see. My we filmed it during the pandemic, and of course couldn't get any videographers in here. So pardon me. You're cutting in and out. You're Okay. I was saying my husband filmed it with me. Pardon me? It, you keep, you keep hearing, hmm, I can't hear anything that you've said.
Is this better? Is this any better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. You were
Okay.
cutting in and out continuously.
Oh, strange. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
so just continue.
yeah.
So your husband filmed it.
So I can say my husband and I filmed them, together here in the month of May, and we had them all edited, all these little videos, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully well, because I can't imagine when the next time is we'll be having a lot of people in here for a painting workshop. It's just not going to work out, I guess. So we'll see. We will see.
It's gonna be a little while.
It's going to be a little while, and Santa Fe itself is going to be pretty shut down over the summer, I think. All of our main events have been canceled, and, it'll be sort of probably a ghost town here for a while.
Are you working on any shows at the moment?
Not at the moment. We're actually working on reformatting our entire business model and going into a lot of more online galleries and that kind of thing. So we've been kind of rethinking the plot on the whole thing. And the online workshops is the first phase of that reorientation. And we'll be redesigning our websites, be more of an e-commerce thing. So we're taking it one step at a time. The workshops were the first big project.
Wow. So, can you tell me a little bit about what you're thinking about in terms of the online? Because you seem to have this whole thing pretty together. Like you have your workshops, you've got your online stuff going, you have a lot of followers for,
Uh-huh.
like you're very connected online. Um,
Yeah, we try
yeah.
to be. We have a social media, we have somebody helping us with that. So I can spread my time out a little bit more. And, my tech skills aren't what they probably could be for all this kind of stuff. So we get help with it. Um, that's what it takes, I think.
Oh, Mally, artist, said, "Hi, Julie. Who is it you're on an interview with?" Hi, I'm Aaron.
She's from Albuquerque.
Feel free to add me and you can check out my work. So if anybody isn't
Exactly.
following either one of us, this is the beautiful thing about this, is you
Right.
can check out the other one right up here in the upper left-hand corner. You click on our names and then click on the person who you're not already following, or both of us if you just so want.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Right.
it's how we do this in this day and age of COVID, is to connect with other artists and connect with other people about our work. So that's what
Somebody
we're
just
doing today.
asked, is a
Mm-hmm.
website really needed? I can't remember who asked that,
Oh yeah,
but
this is Rafa. Mm-hmm.
okay. A website is absolutely essential, especially now. And the issue is, what should it be? Is it an online portfolio? Is it a sales site? What is it going to be? We previously had used the websites more of an online portfolio because galleries, were selling the work. But now that whole orientation has to change.
Interesting. Could you tell me more about that?
So we'll see what happens. I mean, it means we're going to have to streamline the websites, take a lot of information off of it, maybe limit the paintings that go on there, make it be way more user friendly. It's a whole nother orientation. So,
Are
I
you
think
building?
the next step for me would be doing virtual open studio tours here. Since we're not
That's
going to
kind
be
of
able to
what we're
have,
doing a little bit now.
we are doing it
Take us
right
on a
now.
little tour.
Sure, we can give you a little
Take us
tour.
on a little tour. Try it out.
I'll take you on a little tour. Okay, so I'm in my
Yeah.
studio. This is we're looking at out the back door. And I'm just gonna kind of go around. This is like the video corner. Um, it's basically a warehouse space. It's one of 6 warehouses in this building. Um, and that's my husband's spot. He paints horses. And we're getting into my area now. We kind of have divided this big long wall. And there you go. And there's an upstairs loft area where we have paintings stored, as well as a lot of books, and some comfortable chairs to sit up there. And that's basically the place. We're here kind of in Midtown Santa Fe, which is a great location. Live 5 minutes away. So it's good. We've been in this spot for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, bought it when it was, new, when it first opened up, and it was kind of a nothing area. I don't know if you've heard of an attraction in Santa Fe called Meow Wolf.
Tell us more.
It's basically um, the I'm trying to put my phone on this light, but it won't work. But anyway, it's G.R. Martin, the guy who wrote the Game of Thrones, helped fund an art collective here called Meow Wolf, a group of young people. And they bought a bowling alley like 5 years ago and created these permanent exhibits, sort of like an Alice in Wonderland on steroids type of a thing. It was called the House of Eternal Return. And it was basically the kind of thing where you walk into a front door of somebody's house and then you go through the refrigerator and you go into a whole nother world, or you walk into the fireplace and you go into a whole nother world. Well, it revitalized this whole area, but of course now it's closed and uncertain as to the reopening, when that will happen and in what format that will take. Because they used to pack people in there by the hundreds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but there's still an artist collective going on there, right?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing now. I know that they're kind of restructuring the whole thing. So we'll see what happens in the next year or two,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have another question. So Rafa asked that they don't want to make their own website because of the traffic. But how do you find that in terms of like the traffic that comes to your social media versus your website versus your in-person studio versus?
I would say way more on social media. That's the main traffic. And then people, once they see me on, like, say, Instagram, then they go look at the website, that kind of a thing.
Right.
And I get a lot of website traffic when people see the work in a gallery, then they'll go home and look me up and they'll see the website. They don't really go so much to the social media in that way. That's more of a website thing. But, you need all of it, I think. It all is interlocking and working parts together to make it be successful. Yeah.
I love that. That's so interesting. So what are the essential parts besides the Instagram, because I guess we have like a lot of artists on here that might have some questions. And if anybody else has any questions, so you've got like the Instagram, the Facebook,
right,
the site, anything else that you think would be essential for artists out there?
Well, you have to either be, I would say, in live shows, although right now that's not really happening. I mean, you can do it virtually, but and galleries, there's some that are open, but I don't see how you can have like a big opening at this point unless you limit the number of people that go in at one time. I don't know. I'm not sure, for example, what's going to be happening in Santa Fe this summer about that. We haven't heard much about that.
Right. Because I'm trying this at the end of the month with my first solo painting show.
Right.
Where I'm going to hang it up and then people are going to be part of this other chef experience. And then whoever comes in the same car is going to get to walk through the show like in 10 to 15 minute segments.
Intervals, right.
Intervals, yeah.
Yeah. That would be the way to do it, I think. I'm not so sure that we'll have much happening in our particular studio this summer. I think we're just kind of like not going to do it. And we'll try the virtual studio thing, which I've been querying people about how they've been putting those on, because I know a few people have done it, to see kind of what they thought and how it went, that kind of thing.
What did you learn from?
Well, I learned, it's a lot. You have to be very organized about it and hang the place beautifully. It's like putting on a show, really. It's like putting on a show. But also people are doing, like, galleries are doing artist talks in their studio along with a virtual show. That seems to be a new model of, what's happening.
Right. So
So,
we're kind of doing this artist talk in
right.
studio on the relaxed
Yeah, it's
version.
on the relaxed end of it.
The relaxed end. The relaxed end. Less no pressure here.
Yeah, it's
No
just
pressure
different.
here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. For me it allows me I really like to connect with different artists and musicians and different dancers and just like connect
Uh-huh.
and just see what they're working on. So what are you working on right now that interests you? Like what painting
Well,
wise?
I'm doing sort of two different things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on like 30 by 22 inch like paper. You're doing paper pieces just for fun to kind of experiment and see what I can come up with that's different than my big canvas work. So that's been fun. And then I still do like, when I say big, I mean like some of them are like 72 by 60 or like 50, 66 by 55, or maybe a little bit smaller on unstretched canvas. Just pin it up to the wall and go at it. And I've been doing a lot of that too. But actually, for almost the entire month of May, I was working on the online course, so I didn't get a whole lot of painting done.
Mm.
But and I'm actually starting the second course with a friend of mine in Atlanta. We're going to start filming the next one in two different locations, probably early July. Because she and
Interesting.
we put on a class last year here in Santa Fe, and of course we
Mm-hmm.
were going to do it again, but we can't. So we thought,
Mm.
well, we'll just make an online course out of it and do it
Right.
that way. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like you're switching it up, like what your focus is. Like because
Yes.
before it was in person, let's try to figure out how to get as much on gallery walls as possible and people through there, right?
Right. Right. But that's not going to be the way, going
Mm-hmm.
forward for a while. Um,
Right. Because last month for Fringe Fest Pittsburgh 2020, I put together a virtual online gallery show, which was pretty cool. You could like walk through the gallery space.
uh-huh. Now, did
Um,
you use one of those websites that has like a preset gallery space and you just put your
yeah.
stuff in that? Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a real gallery that you know of.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it was kind of like it was intriguing because it was with a real event, like an event that normally happens, or like a
Uh-huh.
physical event, but it's in a virtual world in a virtual
Right.
space.
So
So
what virtual world did you use?
I don't know how to say it. It's German. I don't
Okay.
want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. I'll message you later.
Right. Okay. I'm
But it's one of these
curious.
virtual worlds. Yeah, and I'm looking into other virtual worlds right now because I'm really interested in like that. I've so I've worked a lot in photography and video as like my
Uh-huh.
profession,
Yeah.
and a lot of interviews. So now it's like all of a sudden I'm in front of the camera, not just behind it.
Uh-huh.
But now I kind of got into this 360 and the VR, and I'm kind of curious where that plays a role with showing art or being immersed in the artwork.
Well, it's been an increasing thing because, for example, the galleries that we've been with in recent years, they had these add-ons to their website where people could put a painting in a room that was the same color as their room, or they could actually send a photo of their room and there was some program that you could hang it up on the wall. So that's kind of been sort of happening slowly, I think. But of course, now that's going to be a much bigger deal.
Right, where people put it where people can see it in their own
Yep,
spaces.
exactly.
Is that
Exactly.
is that something you think is like definitely the way to go
Yes,
with
and in
all of
fact,
this?
when I have my website redone, that's going to have to be part of it, I think.
The
Otherwise,
AR,
how else can you tell?
right? Because it's the AR experience where you can like take the photograph or whatever, the
Right.
video, and you can see it in your space, and you're like, okay, this is what
Uh-huh.
it's gonna look like.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's been happening more and more and more anyway. And now it's going to be like part of the baseline requirements, I think, if you want to sell your work or have it be
Interesting.
seen appropriately.
Right. Look at whether it's going to be like a plugin or whether it's going to be a whole separate website that's going
I
to.
don't know exactly how it works. I think that
Yeah.
there's some plugins that you can do, and I
Okay.
think that there's a couple companies out there who offer a website for a monthly fee that has those things built in.
Right.
This is a question of do you like their template and do you like their price?
Right. Right. No, I'm just kind of curious about like how that is and what you've been seeing in the world as you're on it. You're creating online workshops like that. You're ahead of the game. You're making it happen
Well,
live.
you have to adapt or die, I think, I had sort of, I retired from my previous career at the end of last September, and I had this whole plan. It was like all planned out. And then, of course, the whole thing has had to change immediately.
I
So,
appreciate your attitude. I just like I appreciate your attitude, Tori. You're like, I'm gonna do it. And that's like I appreciate it's a good attitude to like really be like, oh yeah. I don't for everybody else out there, like adapt or die. Like how are we
it's
going to
true,
adapt?
though, and
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting to me to see who in the gallery world, which galleries got on the bandwagon more quickly than others, and which have sort of perfected their game on that. Which ones are amateurish with the video and all that. It's been an interesting process to watch that and see how it
Right.
goes. And of course, I know many artists who haven't done any of it, or they're afraid to go on video. They don't really want to be on video, or they just don't know how to do it or want to do it.
Yes. I know. I'm like, I'm breaking that boundary with it. Like I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna break all those. So it's really nice now that you're breaking down on the live one because
Right.
you've been on a lot of videos.
Yeah, but not live.
Yeah,
This is the first live one.
yeah, that's exciting because it's
Yeah.
a whole new realm with the lives. I find I've just gotten, I've just kind of like had this whole thing where I've gotten on lives with all different people, and
Uh-huh.
it's been so inspiring to me in this day and age. It's
So
like,
when did
oh,
you
like
start doing it?
maybe 2 months ago, 2 and some months
Oh,
ago.
okay. So it's for you, it's a recent thing too.
Yeah, it's only I think I contacted you. You might have been one of the first artists that I was like, oh, like we
Uh-huh.
should do this.
Yeah, you did a
Um,
couple months ago.
yeah, so just right around there, I was just like, I'm gonna do this.
Hmm. That's great.
um, yeah, so thank you for like being like agreeing to that. We've been talking about this for months. So
Right, right. And I did get a
and
new phone.
right, because it's the technology. It's like, do I have all the requirements and getting it together and
That's been
um
the hardest thing for me because, I've watched a million YouTube videos on like what lights do we need? What should we, what microphones? How do we set this up? You know, that's been a huge learning curve for me and trying to evaluate the information and know how much money do you want to spend on the stuff? How high end do you want it to be? Uh,
right.
so, and plus
Production
we don't know
value.
much about lighting in here. And so that's been troublesome, I will admit, but I think we have that dialed down now.
Well, I think it's the in the same way that we might light like I would light an apple.
Hmm.
I'm lighting myself. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna light,
Uh-huh.
like my big I actually right before this whole thing, it just happened kind of serendipitously. I was doing reviews for like photo and video gear. So then
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden I have video lights that I just had done reviews for.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that was like all of a sudden I've got video lights. I have like my big strip banks and soft boxes from my big fashion shoots that I do. So
Uh-huh.
it's kind of, I
Right.
guess it's like building in what we can with just the attitude of doing it and
Hmm.
the evolving attitude. Um,
Right. I mean, and like when we were filming the videos for the workshops, there were issues that came up with lights, like how close could my spouse get to me and not have all this glare blow him out of the water? Or if I was working on, say, freezer paper to mix colors and show people how to mix colors, well, the glare off of that was a problem. So we had to come up with a solution, right away to that. All these little things happened along the way that we had to try to figure out.
I think that's the beautiful thing. Do you find that with your painting as well? Like the
Yeah.
problem solving?
Oh, definitely. Definitely problem solving. With materials, learning what materials can do, what the range of them is, what materials are the best ones for you to use, for what you want to accomplish.
Can you tell us something about the materials? Because you said something about the paper ones. Do you have any of those around?
Oh,
Because
I
that
have,
seems like
there's one that's right here that's I'm looking at as I talk to you, so I'll just show it to you.
oh yeah.
It happens to be out.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how it's got black on it. So, I mean, I can't
Uh-huh.
get much closer because then it's gonna, here, I can get that close. So you can
Yeah,
see
you can see
that.
the whole thing, but what I like about some of this is you can also go closer and show us like a little close up
Yeah,
of
I can
little
do that.
details.
Yeah. So now you
Yeah.
can see the top of it. This is a 30 by 22 and
Mm-hmm.
it's acrylic and like graphite and pastel, and something called marabou crayon, art crayon, that kind of thing. So that's sort of what I've been doing with the work on paper.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
What
and there was this thing
mhm.
going around Instagram, like, oh, I would say April and part of May, called the Artist Pledge. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, the $200, right?
Right, the $200 thing. So I
Mhm.
did a bunch of, like, 16 by 12s for that. And I was kind of playing with this sort of composition with those, and then I decided to expand it to a larger format. And I think I might try and do it um, on unstretched canvas too. That will be the next frontier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does the artist pledge work for has anything helped
Oh
in this
yeah. I
time?
mean, I sold a
Mhm.
lot of them.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's just through Instagram
It was through
or
Instagram.
wow. So do you just post one a day or
I
how are you?
posted, we posted one a day for a while, maybe not every day, but and then I posted some bigger ones and people paid more money, for those. So it worked out fine.
Wow. Do you have any
I was surprised at how well it worked out.
do you have any advice for that?
For that, I would say have a variety. I would say try to do like 15 of them and throw them up there. One a day, not all at one time, and see what happens. Now, some people I know put a bunch of them out like on one day, and then they had like a page on their website where you could go and purchase. That's one way you could do it. But I kind of dribbled them out
I
over a
think that's
couple
good.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit here, a little bit there. And you
yeah.
say right on there how much they are, or do you like
Well, the one I think I made mine be really inexpensive. Like the really small ones were like $125.
okay.
The bigger ones were more money, obviously, but
Right.
still way less than I would have sold them in a gallery or I would have sold them in normal times. But it was still
Right.
great.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of curious. And so that's 120 plus
5.
shipping and handle or
No, the shipping
125
was
plus.
was nominal. I mean, I
Oh,
just
okay.
included it. It was easier just to include it than it was to try and add
Right.
that on.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then you just kind of put it in a tube and send that off.
Well, some of them I just put them between two pieces of like foam core because
Okay.
I didn't want to roll them.
Oh,
Some of them were
okay.
on this material. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called multimedia artboard. It's resin coated paper,
Okay.
which can't be rolled.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you find it's okay to like sell some at like a much lower end or and then
Whatever.
whatever, just
I mean,
like
everybody would have a different opinion on that. Personally,
yeah,
I think it's okay, especially in pandemic times. Why not?
why not?
Why
Well,
not?
yeah, I'm just kind of curious about like everybody has their own opinions and you seem to be evolving with the times and so I think that's much more important if you're evolving is working for you, then that's what to learn from.
Well,
For
the thing
everybody else
is,
out there,
yeah,
the when the evolving is working.
here's the
Learn.
thing. So a woman in California bought two paintings off of that artist pledge thing, one a bigger one and a smaller one. And then she told me she was going to go to the gallery that I'm in the Bay Area and see more. So how bad is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
being generous could prove to be helpful.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. I'm just kind of, it's wonderful information to get out there is like
Hmm.
to know how to get work out there.
Right.
And you know, and you've both been working really hard on the art and
Yeah.
been teaching and been getting it out there in the world. And
Trying
that's
to, yeah. But it's a lot of work. I mean, you have to be on it all the time.
yeah. How so? Can you tell?
Well, you always have to be posting. You have to come up with content. You have to be painting. You have to be, photographing the paintings. It's like a whole thing. It's a
It's a
whole
whole thing.
project.
It's a whole project. Yeah, like every day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like photograph it, and then I'm gonna like
Yeah,
that yeah, and then I'm gonna post it, and then I have to post it with like interesting content. And,
exactly.
and now I'm like animating my paintings.
Uh-huh. No, we don't do that. No, fortunately, we have a
Yeah.
wonderful poster,
Oh, okay.
social media person now, who's taking all that burden off my shoulders because that was too much with everything else. But you have to be organized about it and have sort of like a master plan, I think. And you have to be committed to doing something on it every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
something on the
Being
business
connected.
side every day,
Hmm. Interesting.
I
Interesting.
think.
Yeah. Why don't we talk a little bit about your art here for a second? Skip
Sure.
around here. Yeah, we'll skip around from the business to the
Okay.
art, and because I think it all kind of plays into what you're working on.
Right. So,
Let's
let's see. The last thing I worked on, I'll
mm-hmm.
show you,
Yeah, show us.
is this, which I'm going to try and get a little farther back.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's about a 54 by 42 inch painting. The color's not showing up all that great. At least it looks like to me. But it's acrylic with various drawing tools like graphite and pastel, and I think there's some like an oil marker in there. So that was the last thing, and it hasn't been photographed, appropriately yet, but soon, probably maybe tomorrow. It's a
Hmm.
little windy here today to take it
Could you take
outside.
us closer in on
Yeah,
it?
we'll
Perfect.
go into parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do is tape off a margin on my unstretched canvas because you have to have a certain amount of it available, to be rolled, for gallery wrapped canvas. And the first few that I did of these, I failed to do that. And then when they got stretched, my composition was ruined. So I realized that having a 3-inch margin all the way around is like a little safety net. So just going closer, you can see there's like drawing underneath here. I'll just kind of go around it.
Yeah, go around it and bring us to any points that you're really intrigued
Yeah.
by. That you're like, wow, like this is something that I'd really like to show, or because yeah.
Part of this is like, I have these large charcoal blocks. They're called Derwent extra large charcoal blocks. And I like to rub them on the canvas and then put matte medium on them, then spray them with water, and then take a Bondo knife, that you get at the hardware store, and just scrape all over it and let the drips fall where they may. That's kind of
Mm.
fun. Here's where the oil marker is, the white line.
Oh, that's
And then
awesome.
this orange line that's like right there
Mm-hmm.
is what's called a Stabilo woody pencil. They're kind of fun too. So you can see
Hmm.
these drips here are when the scraper just flung the watery paint wherever it did. And we're at the bottom of this thing now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same over there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I
Cool.
do it.
Wow. So what
Yeah.
how did you go about the process with this? Like do you ever start with sketches, or do you just
No,
go right on
I
it?
just do it. No sketches.
Just go for it.
You just go
Do you-
for it.
and you have all the media there like waiting for you.
I have like two. I'll show you. I have these two big
Yeah, show it.
tables.
Uh-huh.
Let me. Okay, so this is one of my tables, which has
Wow.
stuff on it, and then I have another one
Mm-hmm.
with all kinds of things,
Well, show us,
and
take us
everything is
around,
like,
give us a tour.
okay. So here's like some of the drawing stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I have it by type, and of course the hammer is miscellaneously in that box.
Uh-huh.
Then I have all the graphites. Then I have other little graphite pencils, a bunch of brushes. Here are these big extra large charcoal blocks that are so much fun. They are.
Yeah.
And I discovered
Huh.
them when I went to a workshop. Other people had them. I hadn't seen them yet.
Can you take one and just show us how
Sure.
you draw with
Let
one?
me find one that's not broken. Okay, so let's see. Here's one. Let me put it on this. I'll put it on this white paper so you can see it.
Yeah, perfect.
That's it. So
I
that's
love a little
about
demo.
maybe 2 inches by maybe half an inch, it's like a stick. So let's see. This is palette paper. It's not really, but you can see.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And they come in sets of, different colors and neutrals and that kind of thing. And then I have my paint. I have down here in little bins. And I have like, the reds and the yellows together, the grays and the browns together, the blues and the greens together. But I actually don't have a lot of paint compared to a lot of people. You go into some people's studios, they have like tables full of paint, liquid paint, solid paint, the works, but it's too much stuff as far as I'm concerned.
You have a lot of drawing media.
I have a lot of drawing media, which I didn't used to have until I got into this drawing thing, which is only a couple years ago.
Really? What got you into that?
Oh, I was doing sort of Joan Mitchell-ish type paintings with these kind of rubber spatulas that were great. But they were very chaotic and they didn't involve drawing and they were more brightly colored. And then I kind of came to the end of that one day. I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I can't tell you why. It just hit me. And so I started getting more into this drawing thing.
Huh.
I had another series of paintings that involved figures on paper that did involve some drawing. So it wasn't like it was completely from left field.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I understand.
And sometimes you just have to change it up.
Right.
In a big way, dramatic way.
Do you ever come back to a series?
Well, yeah, I probably will work my way back to the chaos stuff. I mean, but it might take a while and it will be in a different form too. It won't be as chaotic.
New things.
You can never go back all the way, I don't think. I think it's hard to copy yourself, I mean, really, it's hard to do that. It's never a success, in my opinion.
So it's kind of like do it now while you have it.
Do it now while you have it, because if you want to go back, it's going to be different.
Right.
It'll be informed by your new experience.
What kinds of new experiences have you had that you can really point to in your work that you'd like to, like an experience and like something that's happened? Or
you mean like in my life or in my work?
Both.
Oh, both?
Whatever.
I don't know. My life has been sort of this, similar for the last 18 years, after I moved to Santa Fe. I mean, the big change was like not working anymore. I was a criminal defense lawyer for more years than I care to tell you. And that was very demanding of a career. But now I don't have to do that anymore. So
how do you feel?
I feel great.
What made you take that leap?
I was kind of at the end of that. It was a long time that I did that work. I did appeals, which was not trial work. It was reading and writing transcripts of people who had been convicted and they were appealing their conviction. And it was very incredibly sad work to do. And after a couple of decades of doing that, it became too much. I couldn't stand it anymore. It was just too difficult. Because most cases you lose because people are guilty and that's how that goes. And it was really difficult to lose the good cases that should have been won that just weren't going to be. That was hard.
Has that ever played into your painting work?
I think I did a pretty good job of keeping them separate. I mean, I'm sure some psychologists would probably say to the contrary, but I really kept those worlds apart,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And does that give you more appreciation of being a painter now?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. I value and treasure the time that I get to do this now whenever I want. I mean, before it was like at night on the weekends, my caseload would kind of go up and then go down. So I would fill that time in with, art related stuff. So it was hard though.
Do you have any advice for anybody out there that might be considering similar like things in their lives?
You have to be persistent. I mean, it takes complete dedication. There's no halfway measure here. You're in or you're out. And you do the best you can with the time you have available to you, I think. you know. But persistence is the key. Dedicated studio practice is the key, I think. And then, of course, you have to allow time. If you want to be in the selling arena, you have to allow time to figure that whole world out and participate in that.
So you'd say it's really two different arenas here.
It's two arenas, I think.
The business of it, the selling, the
Uh-huh.
galleries, the that showing
Mm-hmm.
other people, and the actually doing it. Would you
Right.
say?
Yeah. And, my spouse and I kind of did a little hybrid where we would go to art fairs ourselves, big art fairs and convention centers and that kind of thing, and sell the work ourselves, put up our own booth and all that, which is a huge amount of work, to say nothing of hugely expensive. But
Yeah. So what did you learn from all that?
I learned that I'm not going to do it again. No, we had a good time. It was fun. We met a ton of people, didn't sell huge amounts of work. I mean, I think if you want to ask yourself, is it worth it economically? The answer was not really. But we learned a lot from that. How people responded to the work. That was good information, you know. Um,
Yeah.
a greater
What
appreciation of what the galleries have to do, go through. Um, Now, okay, so Marcy Mallon is saying that we're frozen on
frozen on the
screen.
screen? Is anybody else finding that? Let us know in the comments if we're in fact frozen, because we're t- our videos frozen, our audio is the audio frozen. Maybe just restart the app. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments, and we'll see what we can get to. So just for everybody who's tuning in, feel free to write it in the comments here, and I'll be posting this later on my page. And Julie, if you'd like to
Okay.
repost this, you
Yeah.
can as well. You can download and repost
Okay.
whatever you'd like.
Okay.
Repurpose the video.
Yeah, that's
That's the
great.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So so
So
is
I think my
everybody
main
okay? We're
advice is you have to
hmm
persevere and be persistent.
what in what ways?
We have to
Because
be okay with rejection for starters. You know, you're going to be told no a lot more times than you're going to be told yes. Whether it's be gallery representation, somebody wanting to buy something. So you just have to be good with that.
because you've had a lot of success getting gallery
Yeah,
shows.
we have. I mean, yeah, that's true. But there's been a lot of rejection too that you don't know about.
Well, that's important. That's important I think for people to know is how much work goes into that.
A lot, a
A lot.
ton.
Okay. How do you go about that process? Like
Well,
you just reach out to
okay.
galleries.
So I was basically a researcher all these years. I mean, I researched case law. That was what I did. I would sit there and be on Westlaw all day long looking up cases. Well, this is no different. You have to find galleries that are suitable for your work, that you think are suitable for your work, which is a lot of research, which means going and looking at those galleries, finding one that you think might be appropriate, looking at the people who are in that galleries, who they represent, then looking at those people's websites, see what other galleries represent them. It's like you have to go through these threads. You have to follow the thread, you know, to really get the information that you need. It's a very laborious thing to do that.
Do, why don't you talk a little bit more about following the threads? Because I think that's something that you particularly have a lot of background understanding on that
I
many
do.
artists never got trained in.
Right. Well, okay. So early on, somebody told me about a website, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like an artcollecting.com website where they list galleries by state and by city. And you can go into that website and click on a city and get a whole list of galleries. And I would go down the line, one by one by one by one, and see which were appropriate, which weren't appropriate. And I would keep a list of what I thought might work for me. And then I would go into that gallery's website and I would look at everything about that website, see how they present themselves, what's their mission, what do they claim they want to do for people, um, do they do any corporate work, what are they all about? And then I would look at each person who was in that gallery that I thought might be similar to me, and then I would look up their website and see who else represented them. And what I learned from that was a lot of galleries would have the same groups of people, which I thought was fascinating. Not uniformly, but there were definite patterns that emerged from this inquiry. That was interesting information, and you want to know, does this gallery go to art fairs? What do they do? How do they promote their people? That's all the kind of things you have to know, or you have to look for, I think.
And that informs your work as you get on the workshops, right? Because you're seeing that emerge, I'm
Right.
guessing.
Yeah, definitely.
Where have you seen that emerge amongst like artists who are in the galleries, or is that like another realm?
You mean the workshop thing?
Yeah.
You know what? I want to say it's another realm, but I'm seeing more people entering that playing field in the last 6 weeks that didn't do it before. Maybe they did some in-person workshops and now they're going to try the online course thing too. And people have varying amounts of followers and varying amounts of students. Some of those people I'm speaking of have been doing workshops for a long time. Others maybe not so much. But I think the workshop arena is going to be evolving in the next 18 months, and we'll see who gets people and who doesn't.
What do you think well, so for anybody else who's tuning in, Julie has a brand new workshop that's launching tomorrow, right?
Right. The enrollment is launching tomorrow.
Enrollment.
Yeah.
When does it start?
It starts on June 29th. And it's basically meant to be taken over a 6-week period. So you don't rush yourself through it. Although you have access to it for 6 months, you can keep doing it over and over again if you want to. And it's on one of these learning platforms that have popped up in the last few years that hosts online courses. And it's like divided into modules, and you kind of go and you load up all your content and people just click, through it down the line, basically.
And what will they learn in this? Because
we will be exploring different fundamentals of abstract painting. It's meant for a complete beginner could take it, or somebody who maybe has been painting for a while but feels a little stuck. They don't know what to do. They're in like a rut and they could use some fresh ideas, that kind of thing. So we'll talk about what materials to have on hand, how to set up your studio, what's like the right mindset to do this kind of work, things like that. Composition, some, mark making, color and value. We'll do like a lot of color mixing. Let's see what else. Building layers, that kind of thing. How you can start if you don't have an idea about what to start with, what to do, and then how to finish.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's
kind
of
it's like
how to finish.
An opening exploration that, each of those topics could be plumbed way more deeply in a subsequent, other classes, I think.
Right. This is kind of like an overarching.
It's an overarching thing. Yeah. Just to give people a rough idea of what's involved. And then I think it will give people enough food for thought that they could kind of work on those things in the class for a while.
Okay. And so they'd find that by going to your
my website, julieschumer.com. They also will find the link tomorrow on my Instagram page, Julie Schumer Artist. There'll be a link to the sign-up page.
Okay. And you can comment below the video so that way when people look back, because I usually get a few hundred people that come back to the video. So you can comment below. And anybody else who has any questions after this is posted, feel free to comment below the video when this is posted. Yeah, I just know the people that follow me, they're all over the world. So then they come back later and
sure. Not everybody's awake right now.
No, well, the artist right before you, Sabina, she was in Austria. So
wow.
Yeah, so it was like 9 to 10 p.m. and now it's like 10 to 11,
Right.
So people are just I've like all these artists and musicians all over the world and dancers. So people come back later.
But I was looking at your artwork today after we had our initial conversation this morning. I liked it quite a bit. I love the high contrast, black and white kind of thing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy at some point to have any thoughts and wisdom from your from your time in painting. It's painting. I've been painting for I don't know, probably since, I mean, through high school. I went to a visual arts high school, but then I
Uh-huh.
really got into it in like 2008, 2009.
Okay, so that's a
And
while.
yeah, yeah. And then I took a few years off. I went into design, into more like the design realm,
Uh-huh.
and then my professional video photography work. So
Uh-huh.
in this quarantine time, it's gone from like a thing that I maybe do a couple hours a day, a couple hours a week, to this is my thing. I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you
To
have
a
time to
studio
do it
practice.
now for sure.
Exactly. To a full studio practice. So
Uh-huh.
I guess that's what's shifted for me in the paint, and I can't go out and do photos, videos now. So the adapt the adapt adaptation right now, I think, is so important for so
Mm-hmm.
many in the visual arts realm. Like, how do we connect? How do we create? How do we
Right.
create together? How do we work together? And
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? It's no longer just the studios or the big names, the big galleries that can have these live interviews.
Oh no, everybody is on equal footing now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Mm-hmm.
great. I am actually have decided I'm really happy about how this is going to be evolving.
Do you want to tell us something about that? Why?
Well, you know, you don't have to be in a gallery if you don't want to be. You can get your work out there just as well as anybody else can. You know, there's so many arenas online to do it. Really. So, you know, I think it's just a matter of you have to just have a little technical knowledge, I guess, and have the right equipment and then go from there. But there's plenty of YouTube informative videos telling how to do all this. It's, you know,
Bite the bullet, get some technology,
right.
learn the technology,
Yeah.
because it's a tool like a brush kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a tool like anything else. It's a tool like your computer's a tool,
Mm-hmm.
you know. You just have to get down on it and do it.
Right, right. And so you take this research end, because you really rely on this research end. How do
Mm-hmm.
you apply that to your art itself? Or
How
is
do I play that? Let me think about that for a second. Well, what it tells me is what other people are doing. Okay. And if I know that X is painted a certain kind of painting and X sold 10 of those, well, that tells me that that's a popular thing to do. And if I wanted to sell something, maybe I should try that. But I don't really let that govern what I'm going to wind up doing. It's just good information to know what's moving in the art world, you know, in a certain world, not the high end world, but you know, in the more middle of the playing field kind of world.
right, to know where you're playing, to know the field that you're playing.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That's a very interesting idea, I think, to know the world that, and the world that you want to be playing in.
Right. I mean, you have to know who the players are and what they're doing. And if what they're doing works, how does it work out?
How do you find this out?
Well,
This is, I mean,
I'll
this
tell
is
you, there's a
just like,
couple ways you find it out. Number one is
yeah.
social media, because everybody always wants to post up when they've sold something, especially if it's big, you know. So you see in that way. Or you go onto a gallery website and you see what they mark off as being sold, which might or might not be the truth. You know, who knows? But at least you have a rough idea.
So that kind of, how much time do you generally put into that, to like
Mm,
researching that?
Well, the thing is, on the social media, it comes right at me. So I don't have to, you know, I can't, it's not avoidable really, unless you just don't look at all. So that information is easily obtained. The other information, I wouldn't spend much time doing it, looking specifically on a gallery website to see, oh, did they sell this, or this? It's just, if I'm looking at that gallery, then I'll just, oh yeah, they sold that, and that, you know,
Yeah,
and I
I think
file that away in my mind.
interesting. It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily inform what you're going to make, but it informs your understanding of how it might be placed within that realm.
Exactly. Exactly. Because, you know, the reality is you can do what you do what you do, you know, And that's just how it goes. I mean, you can alter what you do to an extent, but your voice is your voice, I think.
And that painting is the voice itself,
Uh-huh. I mean, I
right?
can't be somebody else. I'm who I am,
Right. That's a
whether I like it or
very
not.
yeah. Why don't Do you have any paintings around you that that kind of explore your voice or what you or that you might be able to talk about with?
Let me. I'm looking around here to see. I have a couple of different. Actually, I have different eras around
Okay.
me. Okay,
Okay.
so let's see, because we recently had some paintings come back that were unsold to the gallery, so we haven't put them away yet.
Okay.
Um, so let me
Right.
show you. So
Because
you saw.
you have a whole list of what goes out to the galleries and
Oh
whether
yeah,
it's sold or not. Okay.
I use a software called Artwork Archive, and it's a
Okay.
wonderful program. You pay a subscription annually to it, and you can keep track of everything. You can load up photos of the work, all the particulars about the work, where it is, what the price is, if it's been sold, what the selling price is. It's great. It's a it's a nice inventory system. And I've used other ones in the past, but this one I like the best of all of them that I've used. I used to keep a typed up list, in the early days before there were these kinds of things. And then I would, but that was not very good. Ultimately, I used to miss things and it wasn't a perfect solution. But the Artwork Archive is great. I highly recommend it.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Maybe they'll sponsor your workshops.
Who knows? Anyway,
Cool.
so, okay.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So here's one. I think this painting is about maybe 40 by 30 or something like that. This was more of the wild era, although not a limited palette. So it's not one of the real colorful ones. But this was with a tool that was kind of an angled rubber spatula that was, had a wooden handle like a brush, but it wasn't a paintbrush. But it was really fun. I used it. It became a crutch, So I thought, I have to stop this because I'm relying on this one tool, and that's not good. So I kind of put it away, and I haven't used it for a while.
Could you take us closer in on the
Yeah.
painting to some detail? I just always like to see some details
Yeah.
that
Here, I'm
you
going to be
wouldn't
walking
normally.
on my paper pieces, but that's okay.
Okay. Okay. Be careful.
So you
I
can
always
see
like,
there's some drawing on that.
yeah. I always like with these lives to be able to see something
Yeah.
that we wouldn't normally be able to see in regular Instagram, like
Okay, so you can
and
see
you'd be
that it
able to
was,
talk about it.
yeah, it was layered,
Hmm.
and it was kind of wildly done, and it was done quickly, as I remember. I mean, this painting is probably 5 years old. I'm guessing, maybe 4. I can't remember. And then another era is this, which was done with Bondo knives. I don't know if you know what those are. That you get them in the hardware stores. Let me go get one.
Oh yeah, we only have 2 minutes left. We
Okay.
can hop back on for a couple minutes if you'd like, or just call it a day and do
Yeah,
this
we can
another
call
time.
it. I mean, this is like
Okay.
more with a scraper, so it's different.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give you that option.
Yeah.
So we have 2 minutes. We have a minute and 30 seconds. So
Okay.
if you want to plug anything that you're working on before you go, um,
The
now would be a
workshops.
good
The
time.
workshop is the big thing. Yeah.
Workshops.
Yeah.
Check out the workshops
Check
on
out the
your
workshop
Instagram.
online. And if
Mhm.
anybody has any questions about it, they can message me on Instagram, or they can email me off my website. Julie at
Perfect.
julieschumer.com.
Excellent. It's on your Instagram. So whoever you're not following, follow us now. Give us a comment, a like after it's posted. I've got a solo show coming up in 2 weeks. I've got
Yeah.
more live shows coming up tomorrow and Thursday. The Freedom Tapestry Project with Syrian artists and about Syria. I don't know, something with Syria. It's going to be great. So check all those out. There are links in my posts. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Definitely.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate
Yes.
you, you all being here and being here with us. That really means a lot. I really appreciate the
Yeah.
audience that's able to be part of this. So thank you so much.